No.
Hi.
I'm going to turn on all the recorders so I don't forget. Dana, how was your holidays? Okay. Hi, Anne-Marie. Hi, Nina.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, Kate,
I got on, no problem.
Doesn't matter how many times I do this, there's always something else that comes up. Anne-Marie and Nina, did you have good holidays? Quiet?
I did. I did. Yeah. A little more quiet. But it was nice. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Is that your dog?
Yeah. She hears baby.
Hi, Kevin.
Good evening.
Hi, happy Kevin.
Hi, you too. I'm sorry, were we just waiting on me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Want to call the meeting to order? And first agenda item is the recommendations to the board on the ethics policy. And did everyone get a copy of that, the red line policy?
Yes.
Okay, I'll open it up to the members. Any comments on the red lines from Jeff?
No. I just had a couple of other questions. So.
Okay, go ahead, Sue.
Oh, okay. Just wanted a clarification on something. In section 1-1 under definitions, it refers to what immediate family is, and it says spouse, child, or dependent relative living in the household. And then under the statement of financial interest in section 1-1, it makes a reference to spouse, dependent children residing in household. So it makes no reference of a dependent relative. And I guess in that section, it specifies dependent children, but under the definition of immediate family, it just says child. So does that mean if a child does not reside with you, that it doesn't present a conflict of interest, that they would have to be a dependent child living in the household? Because I'm kind of reading it two different ways.
The way that I read it is immediate immediate family is defined in H as any spouse, child, or dependent relative who resides in the individual's household.
Okay. So it
That's what
doesn't
it
have
says,
to,
right?
it doesn't have to be a dependent child, just
No.
a child, whether they're living in the household or outside the household.
That's the way it's written, yep.
Okay, so then in section 1-10 under the statement of financial interest, should we specify dependent children residing in household? Should that be changed?
I'm sorry, where are you looking at specifically in 110?
Section 1-10, statement of financial interest, B, it specifies spouse and then it says dependent children. When it doesn't have to be someone dependent living in the household, it could be like an adult child that's married and living but off on their own, but maybe a town employee that could present a conflict of interest. So should we keep the word dependent in that statement?
That's, is that the first sentence of 110B?
Page 9. Let's see.
Yes, Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's two different things, right? I mean, you're talking about a definition of immediate family. Then you're talking about who's required to file, what information is required to be included in the statement of financial interest. I didn't draft this policy originally, so I don't know what the drafter intended, but the way it's written is that you have to include information in regard to the individual required to file the statement and his/her spouse and dependent children residing in the individual's household. That's the way it's written. I don't know why it was written that way, but it's two different. That doesn't conflict with the definition of immediate family.
Because under section 1-10, conflicts of interest, it refers to immediate family, which is defined as a child or independent relative in the household.
Which provision of 1-10 are you looking at now?
A, page 10. Okay, or is it?
A doesn't deal with conflicts.
Wait a minute.
1-10. Conflicts of interest are in 1-7.
Yeah, I messed up. Right, page 7. 1-7 under A. It says, member of his, her immediate family. So references immediate family.
Yeah, that has to do with a conflict of interest. That's different than the financial statement.
Okay.
Right? I mean, the 1-10B that you were referring to talks about the information that's required to be disclosed on the statement of financial interests.
Uh-huh.
That's a completely different item than the conflict of interest provision in 1-7.
Okay. All right. So
1-7, the use of immediate family in 1-7 deals with a scenario where somebody's an elected or appointed official or a town employee is engaged in activity that's incompatible with the proper discharge of their duties. And the specific item you're talking about is when that individual has reason to believe or expect that he, she, or a member of his or her immediate family will derive direct monetary gain or suffer direct monetary loss by reason of that official activity.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a.
Okay. So when someone fills out the statement of financial interest, they do not have to include a child that is not living at home. that's a dependent? Because you're only specifying a dependent child.
That's
They
the way.
would not have
it's written.
to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to, like, I'm crossing hairs here, but, if anything ever came up, people may challenge something here.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know how many of you were on that webinar that I did last month.
Yeah,
There were some specific questions, and what I tried to encourage is that if you're concerned about a conflict of interest, or if you're concerned about whether you're interpreting something correctly, ask for an advisory opinion. I got some follow-up calls after the webinar with some specific situations, and I said, look, my opinion isn't really the opinion that matters. It's the ethics commission's opinion that matters. I'm always going to be conservative in the way that I interpret conflicts of interest. I think I emphasized that during the webinar, because I don't want to put someone in a position where I may not know all the facts. Someone files a complaint and the ethics commission finds a violation and potentially imposes a monetary sanction. So I'm always going to lean, both by nature and by practicing law for 30 years and understanding a whole variety of scenarios under which someone could be found to violate the code. I'm always going to tell them, look, I think you should disclose it and take appropriate action. And sometimes people don't want to hear that. Sometimes people don't. They understand they're volunteering their time. Their service is valuable to the town and appreciated by the town. But if I get asked a question about, conflict of interest, I'm gonna interpret the policy as a whole, and that includes the statement of purpose, the first paragraph of the policy, and understanding that the purpose of the policy is to not only avoid any appearance of impropriety, but increase the confidence of Berlin citizens in the integrity and fairness of their government. So, I certainly understand where you're coming from. I certainly want the commission to be on the same page, completely on the same page as to these provisions. Like I said, I didn't write the policy. So if there's something in here that you want to talk about presenting to the council to change, I'm at your disposal.
Yeah, and that's obviously an appropriate recommendation to people, because one of the powers of the Board of Ethics is, of course, to render advisory opinions. So that's good advice. Is there anything specific that you're concerned with, Sue, or that you would want to recommend a change on, or to further ferret out with that particular language?
In reading it, I kind of picked up on, why does this say specify a dependent child here and just a child there? Would there be any difference? The statement of financial interest, the whole purpose behind that is to identify any conflict, right? And I just thought maybe both should say the same either way, just to be clarified a little bit better.
I can think of one just off the top of my head. I can think of one scenario, and again, I didn't write this, so I'm speculating about what the author's intentions were.
Yep.
But I can give you one example off the top of my head. When you're talking about the conflict of interest scenario, okay, it's entirely possible that a town employee, a board or commission member, elected or appointed official, could be in a scenario where they have an adult child who does not live at home and is not a dependent in the individual's household, and they are presented with a conflict scenario. For example, if you have someone on the Board of Ed whose adult child who doesn't live in the home and is not a dependent child residing in the household is an employee of the Board of Ed, and they're voting on contracts, they're voting on union contracts, they're voting on budgets. That would be potentially a conflict of interest based on the definition of immediate family, including child. On the other hand, when you're talking about filing a statement of financial interests, you know, if it's an adult child that's not a dependent child residing in the household, you can understand why that information might not necessarily be asked for in the statement of financial interest. You know, I filed a statement of financial interest, and you know, if my son is a lawyer in Georgia, you know, I don't know what good it does for me to put that on a statement of financial interest. Versus if I'm going to hire my kid's firm to do some legal work for the town, then I think that's a conflict of interest that I need to deal with.
Yep. I think I understand the difference there between the two. And I certainly agree that under definition of immediate family for conflict of interest, it should be a child, whether they're at home or not.
I agree.
As it's written.
Okay.
So that answers that.
So the changes to section 110 in my reading seem to capture what came out of our last meeting and limits the sort of scope of who's going to be required to adhere to this. And also, I think lays out a much more specific or succinct notice policy that I think it cleared up the ambiguities that we were all concerned of, but I definitely want to get everyone else's input on that, including you, Kate, whether you think this process seems to be more functional or practical as far as the notice requirements. But do any of the members feel differently, that there's still ambiguity, or how do you feel about that?
No, I think it's pretty clear.
It's clear.
I know from experience the second notice seems to work, so but I mean, it seems to be a much better laid out process. What do you think, Kate?
I think it was fine. We had, we really did receive a lot, which was great. The only thing was we had about 56 people who did not respond. Out of those 56, there was 22 that we did not have emails for. So anyone that we could, we emailed. We did take the receipt, and then I have one of my junior members of the staff working on this, and Rosie is probably about 24, 25. She doesn't believe in paper, and I'm like, copy, put everything in the file. We want to dot our T's and cross our I's and whatever, you know. But I think it worked. We did receive several after we sent out the reminder, and I didn't think the 56 was that bad. The biggest ones are the ones who work for the town and maybe on a board or a commission. They don't want to sign that policy acknowledgement. So I don't know. At the end, when everything is said and done, I guess I have to report, you know, I have to tell their supervisors that they're supposed to do this. And then if it's not done, then it's whatever you guys decide. But that's kind of more of a labor issue. That doesn't seem to be being resolved.
Right, and you know, we'll make the recommendations ultimately to the town council, but whatever the results may be, it seems to be just more of an easier process to deal with. It's just, you know, not ambiguous anymore. So
Okay.
that was the goal. Any other comments on the language? Anne Marie, any? Okay. Okay, and I don't think I saw, but I could have missed it. a revised version of the financial statement or financial interest sheet. Is that something that's in the works or that was prepared?
I think the thought was it was gonna be taken out of here, once you guys approve it. And then however is approved, it will be reflected in the actual statement of financial interest.
Okay. Well, I think at this point, after a couple or a few meetings discussing it, and based on what everyone has, said tonight, we should have this put on the agenda for the town council to consider our recommendations. Does that need to be done by motion, Kate, or can that is that just handled through you creating the agenda?
I think that you should make a motion that you would like to have the town council revise their policy according to your recommendations. If somebody wants to move that.
I'll make a motion that we present our recommendations as reflected in the revised ethics policy that was sent from the town council and the town clerk that we're discussing tonight, that be sent to the town council to consider.
I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Right. So what will happen next is I will do up a summary for you and include the couple pages of the revisions and everything. The next meeting for the town council is the 19th. Kevin, I don't know if you can make that meeting.
It's WebEx.
Yeah,
What time is it?
it starts at 7.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, and any of the other members, you're more than welcome to, of course, be present. Attorney D'Onofrio is always at our meetings. We had a spiritual one yesterday. It was, so last night was kind of interesting. So hopefully this will be a little calmer. It shouldn't take long, and I'll get you on as early as I can.
Okay. And that's not a huge concern, so whenever it comes up, that's fine. And just as far as protocol, Jeff, would we need to get future approval of the financial interest statement, or would we just be able to revise it without input from the town council once the policy's changed?
What we should do is we'll circulate the revised financial statement form now that we have the finalized policy. Can you hear me okay?
Bit of background noise. It may just be because we're not muted.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute everybody, but
Okay.
Is that better? So, Kate and I will circulate the revised statement of financial interest now that we have the final proposed revised policy. And, you can just communicate to me whether you guys, you can't comply with FOIA by meeting electronically via email, so you can't exchange comments and feedback, but you certainly can email me individually if you're okay with it or if you have any edits. And that way we can include that in the agenda packet for the town council, if that works for you.
Yeah, that is fine as long as it passes muster from your point of view.
Yep. Fine.
And is there any comments that any of the members want to make now on that statement while we're in session? I know that I think our last discussion was it was going to track the language of the revised ethics policy. You're still muted too, just so you know.
Sue, can you unmute yourself? Can you
Okay.
there you go, good.
Okay, yeah, I have asked one other time, under employment, it says, please state the name of your employer, then in parentheses, it says, if other than the town of Berlin. Shouldn't that be, just the
No,
opposite?
no, don't go by that. Don't go by what you have in front of you. That was a
Oh.
working draft. We're only working off of the ethics policy.
Okay, so we'll say, town of Berlin employee then.
Yes, it will be clear. Yes.
Okay, that's probably my fault, because I asked if anyone had any input, so I apologize.
Yeah, so that was it.
Okay,
Now, when we send all this out and we talk to people, you send things to Jeff, please be aware that the packets go out to the town council and it will be the Friday before, which is the 15th. So everything has to be kind of done by Thursday afternoon. All right, so if you get an email on Monday and you don't respond until Friday, we have a problem.
okay. So that's it for new items. The next agenda item is approval of the minutes. Were those disseminated? I apologize, I don't have them at my fingertips. You have memory?
Yeah, they went out with the invite.
Okay.
Do you want to wait?
No, I'll pull them up right now. Okay, so does someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting?
They still want to.
I think both Nina and Sue are muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nina.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second? I think we got you, Sue. Can you hear me? No, you're still-
Kevin, Sue might have thought that you seconded it.
Okay, okay. Why don't I do that then? So second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can you unmute, Sue? Do you have that capability?
I can only make a request.
Okay,
No, she's done. She's unmuted.
Did it, I did, I saw
Okay.
it.
okay, we got you. So all in favor, the motion passes. And that I believe is, that's the last agenda item. So motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second the motion.
Okay, motion carries.
Hey,
Meeting.
I want to thank you for your work on this. I really appreciate it, and I admire the job that you did. You know, the ethics commission was idle, right, until we had a complaint a couple months ago. We filled the vacancies, and I think you're a really good ethics commission. I hope you don't have a lot of business. I mean, we on the one hand, if people are violating the code, we want them to seek the recourse under the code and under the policy. On the other hand, we don't want people violating the code. So ideally, you get asked for a couple of advisory opinions a year. You know, other towns that I represent that are much larger than Berlin, that's most of their activity. You know, they meet a few times a year, they deal with an advisory opinion, and then maybe every 3 or 4 years they get a complaint. So You know, we don't want the ethics commission to be used for purposes that are political. We want people to genuinely pursue violations so that we enforce the policy and so that the residents do have a lot of confidence in the government. So you play a really important role. You're off to a great start.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. I second that or reiterate that. You know, very impressive how a new group of people came into a tough situation and really got up to speed quickly, which I appreciate. And you can tell that everyone has really taken this seriously and put the effort in. So thank you. And we're happy to be working with a dedicated town clerk and our new recording secretary, Dana. So really appreciate it all. Thank you. And we'll wait to get your email, Kate, on the financial statement. And then I definitely will be at the town council meeting, and obviously everyone else is welcome to the extent you want to participate. So thank you.
Good night, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, everyone. Thanks.